Dr. Oz, good to have you with us today. Obviously, these are heartbreaking stories. That's an amazing statistic. 186 people under the age of 18 have been shot in Pennsylvania this year. Your opponent basically says that it's ridiculous for you to portray him as soft on crime. He says, what a bunch of BS. Does anybody really think the dude famous for selling phony diet pills knows anything about keeping our communities safe? What would you say to that, Dr. Oz?
There's a reason why the Fraternal Order of Police for the entire state of Pennsylvania endorsed me, and they endorsed me unanimously. They know that these are addressable problems. And the reason they endorse me is because John Fetterman has been blocking their efforts to protect the people of Pennsylvania. When you mention these numbers, just to put it in perspective, almost half of all the murders are in young people under the age of 18. There's a lawlessness that permeates the very fabric of Philadelphia now. I lived in Philadelphia, in West Philly, when I was in graduate school. I could walk to school. It wasn't a problem. Parents don't let their kids leave the homes. And my opponent has also opposed cash bail, which prioritizes criminals over victims. Some of these people get out there, they'll be rearrested 100 times. The prosecutors don't do their job. Cops aren't allowed to do their job, so no new cops join up. And violent individuals keep reoffending over and over again until it becomes one of these more exaggerated incidences when you just show there 100 casings of guns being fired off. By the way, if you're offended by this, please go to droz.com and support my campaign, because John Fetterman's campaign is supported by people from outside Pennsylvania who don't understand the impact of his policies. But they have failed, not just in crime, they've also failed on drug policies, where he's advocated for legalization of all drugs. He wants all the cities in Pennsylvania to be sanctuary cities. You know, he takes these positions that are draconian. But we have one of the highest fentanyl overdose death rates, and that actually accelerates homicides when you have that lawlessness with drugs.
You know, there's been a lot of back and forth on Twitter, and you were trailing kind of significantly for a while, and you sort of put your foot to the pedal and went all over the state. You've spent a lot of time in small group environments talking to people across Pennsylvania about these issues, and it has been working. It has really narrowed this race considerably. But now you're going to get an opportunity on October 25th to debate John Fetterman. And you have talked about the fact that he suffered a stroke right around the time of the primary. So now we will see how he does. The cover of New York Magazine, let's put this up on the screen, just came out today, I believe, released yesterday. The vulnerability of John Fetterman is the cover of the New York Post, the New York Magazine, I should say. And here's a soundbite just from moments ago on MSNBC. Let's watch.
To be precise, I use captioning, so that's really the major challenge. And every now and then I'll miss a word, every now and then, or sometimes I'll maybe mush two words together. But as soon as I have captioning, I'm able to understand exactly what's being asked. But even after the stroke, immediately after that, I was able to read everything, and I haven't lost any memories or anything like that.
Okay, so, what do you think about this as you head into that debate, Dr. Oz?
I have tremendous compassion for what John Fetterman's going through. This is an area of specialty of mine. Heart failure, irregular heartbeats, strokes, these are things that I would deal with. But this question of his health is not about me, it's about the voters. He has not allowed any legitimate questions to be answered by his team about his medical records. He's not shared them. He's delayed this debate until so late in the cycle that the absentee ballots have all been mailed. Probably a third of the ballots could be actually sent in by the time I even have the debate. What's he hiding? Is he hiding his radical agenda or issues with his health? We don't know, because the questions go to his campaign. It's like a black hole. Nothing comes back. But let me just point out why we call him No-Show Fetterman. He's missed a third of his obligations as lieutenant governor, rarely works more than a few hours if he does show up. He missed the majority of the city council meetings when he was mayor. He won't go out in the campaign trail and answer any questions from voters. He won't answer questions from press groupings like I do all the time. He's hiding behind something. And I'm calling him out as his opponent in this race. And Martha, this is critical. We cannot afford for democracy to die because candidates are not obliged to speak. Otherwise, it's like selling cereal boxes. Yeah. He's got so much money, he's just running ads, pretending he's something that we know he's not. So again, DrOz.com, come chip in, because otherwise Democratic money will buy a 51st Senate seat. And I know I'll prevent that. It's a toss-up race right now. According to the major groups, we are very close. Whoever can fund their story and get it out better, and whoever can prevail in that debate is going to win this. And I will do well at the debate. We'll see how John Fetterman does.
Yeah, well, we will certainly be watching that. You know, I think for whoever the next senator is from Pennsylvania, and members of the Senate and the House on Capitol Hill are going to end up dealing in one way, shape, or form with what's going on between Ukraine and Russia. And I want to ask you, because there is a big push to get more weapons to the front lines of Ukraine, and Volodymyr Zelensky, I should say, the president of Ukraine, is desperately asking for this. And then on the other side of the equation, you have former President Trump, who has supported you, saying, no, it's time for everyone to sit down at the table and end this thing with a negotiation. Which side are you on?
Oh, it'd be wonderful if we could negotiate a settlement. I think most people would desire that. My focus actually is on China as well, because China's watching what happens in the Ukraine. And then if they see that Russia can get away with what they had tried to do, then it'll make it a lot easier for them to try to acquire Taiwan. So we've got a multiple country discussion going on here. But I think for most rational people, you want to avoid additional escalation. And the longer these battles last, these wars go, the more difficult it is to make peace. So I think this is a good time to push hard for that if it's possible.
But do you support, because you're saying you have to show them that they can't get away with this. You have to show China. So do you support sending more lethal weaponry into Ukraine? We've spent, I think, $28 billion on it so far. Would you keep that money flowing? Would you keep that effort going?
I'd push for a peaceful resolution. We may have to make Ukraine even more of a porcupine to ensure that Russia comes to the table.
What do you mean by
I think that would be a rational path forward. They arm them so they can defend themselves. And they have proven heroically that they can defend themselves if given the right armaments.
Indeed, and they have. That is true. Thank you very much, Dr. Oz. Good to speak with you today. Hope you'll come back soon.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.